What is up, you guys? We are here for our weekly romance, tarot, and oracle reading. We're going to use some different decks today than usual, mixing it up. So I'm going to show you this most beautiful oracle here. This is from the Mushroom Oracle. Look at the artwork on the booklet here. So lovely. I don't know, I just like this deck was really calling me, and then it's companion decks that I have, and then this other artist and oracle card author Tony Carmine Salerno, the Gaia deck. That one's actually really profound. I've got a couple of decks by him I really like. So from the Mushroom Oracle, we've got Cap. So protection, communication, and identity. I love this for as far as how we should approach our love lives coming out of this eclipse season. It's like we just had this very cleansing rush through our lives, through our energy, and now we're starting into a new chapter. We had that full moon in Virgo while Mercury was retrograde that promised to start bringing more things into our awareness. It's starting to reveal more things. Already in the public today, we had a lot of movement as far as the Homeland Security and things changing there. I think another batch of the files are coming out and they're going to be revealed. So already the wheels are in motion, revealing more energy. More energy, but more information, more ideas coming out and clues and things being put together. More of our insight into seeing behind the veil of illusion as far as the way things are spun up and presented as opposed to how they really are. And so then just on our own personal level, we are maybe having realizations about past experiences or unconscious patterns that we were playing out, or unconscious defense mechanisms that we've been disassembling. And so things are coming to our awareness, and then things are coming to awareness about what standards we have or what we value and what we desire that we weren't aware of before. And so we're starting to have this new sense of this new level of awareness, this new familiarity with ourself and what we need and what we won't tolerate again. So I think that this clarity is offering us protection because we have more ability to have self-preservation. It's I was just listening to a video on Instagram that was pointing out how it was Demi Lovato was talking to someone else, and they were talking about being the young girls that the 20-year-old dudes and the older dudes would be trying to go out with and trying to date, and at the time it's spun up to you you're an old soul and you're really mature for your age and you just don't fit in with the other guys your age because they don't get it, and then it's when you're an adult and looking back on all that, and I totally resonated with this video because I've been having the same realizations with just my it, you don't think about it for a long time, and then you're put in an environment, you're made aware of that, and you're whoa, that was really fucked up, and you're you didn't see it at the time, you were just oh, I have an older person who's interested in me, and you're being exploited, but you don't realize it until later. And so it's things like that maybe that you're coming to an awareness on, or things that you remember about certain relationship dynamics that you kind of see differently now, and you're oh yeah, you've grown beyond those kinds of things, and what you would allow and what you would not allow, and how maybe you would approach things differently as well. So I think that a lot of clarity is coming forward. It's allowing us to protect ourselves, from an earlier point than when the threat shows up. Let's just put it that way. I think that we've become mature, and so we're avoiding the pitfalls of the things that would have brought us into these sus situations before. Communication, I think that we are like being able to better like articulate what it is that we're even looking for and what we would like and what we desire. And I think that we are learning better ways to communicate our desires and needs to others, and just generally, I think, better relational dynamics with communication, feeling more comfortable about that, learning more healthy ways to do that rather than feeling defensive or like reluctant to say what you need, like skittish, like we feel confident and bold and grounded. And so I think that that's going to help. We're not afraid to communicate anymore, but we're also learning how to do it in an ideal way. Identity. And I think too, this is part of coming into a different level of our identity. We have gone through such a series of deaths and rebirths and jumping into these temporary timelines. It's like when you grow so exponentially fast that it feels like you're on warp speed and everything's just sort of like rushing past you and you can't really hone in and focus on anything because it's going by so fast. Have you ever been in a high-speed train going through the countryside and it's like it's really hard to like catch anything and take in the scenery in a specific way because you have to like really like follow, so that's kind of what it's felt like, this growth period. But I think we're settling into this identity finally, and it's like when you plant a fruit tree from a seedling, there's so many stages that it goes through before it's ready to even start bearing fruit yet, right? So I think we're finally at the bearing fruit phase of being kind of reborn, coming into this new sense of self and new self-identity. And I think that we're witnessing new levels of strength and interdependence within ourselves. And I think that we're feeling more and more ready to be able to navigate a fresh relationship or a fresh cycle of relationship opportunities, navigate them in a way that we've never had before. All right, let's now follow up with a card from the Seashell Oracle, and same maker, same artist. This is the booklet. Okay, I feel like that top one. Okay, this is one. Ooh, hermit crab. I feel like a hermit crab. Scavenger, vulnerability, and movement. So let's read from the book. That's interesting. I know y'all love when I'm just like flipping through pages. I hate when there's like no real indication about how they're like intuiting the groupings here. Hermit, crab. Just number them. The creatures, probably in the creatures. Here we go. Hermit crab. Okay, scavenger, vulnerability, and movement. The thin-skinned hermit crab wanders defenseless until it finds an empty, cast-off vessel to take refuge in. Home is where you make it. So I think that it's just like finding a sense of home with what you can make. Like make the most of what you have in this moment. We are still in a process, so we can't rush the to the finish line. We can't rush love to come in. We just have to make peace with where we are in the moment that we're in. So it's like, make the life that you're in as beautiful as you can, right? If you're a scavenger, like, it means that you're resourceful, you're scrappy, you're good at making the most of things and your resources, right? Say, you know, like I've been talking about, just moving things around in the house, reorganizing, doing deep cleaning, that goes a long way, you know. Then it inspires you to do a little something else, and just making your home a loving and livable place with yourself invites more energy in. Vulnerability and movement. So I feel like we are like coming into this next chapter, like we're trying to dismantle unconscious defense mechanisms and feel like we don't have to be on the highest alert the alert of threat at all times, right? So it's going to make us feel a little bit vulnerable, a little bit exposed. And even in our solitude, once we get to this level of completion of healing at a level, it's like we're ready for something more. And I think that we're more exposed to our own vulnerability at this stage because we're not distracted with a task at hand, healing, getting into the thick of it. It's like we're sort of past that stage for a bit, and now it's like, okay, I have grown out of my former situation and I'm ready for the next situation to start, but that's not fully realized yet. And you don't want to jump ahead either, right? So you like being making the most and finding beauty where you're at, being honest with how you feel and what you desire, not being afraid of that, and letting that feeling of vulnerability show you back to yourself, okay, what movement do I need to initiate to start getting me closer to where I want to go? Right? Ultimately, this is something that we can only control so much of this, like how we show up in how we are cultivating our own soul, our own being, our own physicality, our own material world, our own resources and things that like getting out there, doing different things, making sure that we are mindful and intentional with our energy, but ultimately we have to also surrender. And it's weird finding the balance of desiring so much, but then not so much that it hurts so bad that you're like misery and you're suffering. And it's like putting so much effort in and then also letting go and surrendering and trusting that, God kind of has to do the rest. Life has to do the rest. There's another person on the other side of that that's also going through a process, a person or people or whatever. So, that's where the magic happens. It's like you find your peace where you're at. You enjoy the beauty of where you're at. And you keep moving forward. You keep your heart open. You keep your energy open. And you keep just beautifying your own life in the meantime, making it that much more, magnetic and enticing and inviting, not only for you to live in, but for you to share with another. All right, let's look at the Celestial Oracle. And this is the booklet for the Celestial Oracle. Such pretty cards. All right. And they're simple. I like that. I like simplicity sometimes. Earth. Okay. So home, abundance, and security. Again, that ties right in. It's like home is where the heart is. Like, now is not the time, even though we were in Pisces, and so there's a bit of us that feel like kind of ethereal and like in the depths and whatnot. But what balances being in the water, we come out onto dry ground, right? Dry land. So, making that warm, dry, safe place, nourishing ourselves with good food, taking good care of our body, getting good sleep, stretching. I need to stretch, getting physical activity, like getting your blood moving. I did a little gardening today. I'm so excited. I started cleaning out some of my pots and getting ready to, I was like, inventorying what seeds I had and what I needed to get. And I kind of did some cleaning up around the tree line from branches that had fallen during the ice storm. So it just felt really nice to get grounded, get my hands in dirt, get my hands on sticks, be out in nature today, get some fresh air, and just being in the home, taking care of the home. I really love that. I wish that I could meet people at home instead of having to go out and find them at random, but it is what it is. Home is so cool. I love home. I'm such a homebody. So it's harder for me to push myself out of it. I love that. And then 2, we are focusing on our abundance, right? So it's like, okay, if I'm doing whatever I can to enhance myself in my life, then make use of the time, right? Like work on projects that are important to you. Spend some time increasing your financial flow, your abundance, your security, get all of those little ducks in a row because it can't hurt, right? I don't think that money should necessarily prevent us from finding love, but it certainly helps not to have that as like a stress and a weight that acts as like, like friction if we can help it. So if we can set ourselves up for at least stability in that area, I think that really helps a lot. Okay, now let's grab a card from Gaia Oracle. Is this Hidden Path, the marriage of spirit and matter. Oh my goodness, you guys, I love that, because this is kind of like the summation of what we've taken away from this. It's like, okay, the caps are talking about coming to an end of a cycle of learning and healing and development. And now it's like we are integrating and embodying all of this development, and all of this spiritual and internal change are starting to solidify and be made evident in the material. But right now it's hidden. It's not obvious. And so we are like that little hermit crab, right? We're kind of making home where we find it, but we still feel like we are on this path, and it's kind of a hidden path. It's not obvious. It's not obvious what's coming around the corner yet. We've got the Eye of Horus here, which is a symbol of healing. We've got the conch of new life, maybe eternal life, fertility. We've got the sun, illumination, fertility, growth. So the marriage of spirit and matter. And then also like bringing this internal change forward through this liminal space, right? The thing about the hermit crab here is that they are in the water, but they're also on dry land. And so they have like kind of like an ability to be in both places, to go into the water, but when it's time to come out of the water, they come out back into the, they come up back up to the surface. So I feel like that's the same. It's like we're going into the depths, but we're coming back up to the surface, and we're integrating that into our lives and the way that we live and the way that we conduct ourselves and handle our affairs. So the hidden path is being revealed by continuing to show up and trust the Creator and trust that you are connecting with that divine guidance and that divine sort of inspiration that is sometimes not obvious, but our intention to connect with that and our vigilance and discernment, right? Get us there. If we are paying attention and we're honest and we're not forcing that information to present itself. Like so many times for me, it's just like I feel like a compelling urge, but it's not like a nagging fear or anything. It's just like that's what I feel drawn towards. And it's like when I don't even question it and I just feel like it just feels right. It feels right. The other one doesn't. No logic needed. And then later I find out that I was right for whatever reason, So The path will reveal itself. Just trust to keep showing up. Trust to keep moving forward. Trust to keep taking steps. Don't freeze up and fall into old habits, right? Keep developing this new story, right? Because I was thinking today, it's like we are on a new timeline, because I started to go back into like old thoughts and like old loops, old storylines that were leading to nowhere but disappointment, and sadness. And I was like, no, this is a new timeline. And something in my head was like, it is a new timeline if you make it a new timeline. It's not going to be a new timeline if you stay stuck in the same loops and the same stories, if you keep feeding that energy, if you keep feeding that narrative. But it will be a different timeline when I start taking those different steps and using those different thoughts and different ideas and different feelings, and I approach the world in a new way. Okay, let's get a couple of these tarot for the psychic heart cards to give us some more clarity. Okay, I love the first card that came out. High Priestess. Listen, Linda. It's about turning inward, getting quiet, and being able to identify that voice within. Sometimes I like to do automatic journaling. I feel like that helps me tap into that subconscious. And automatic journaling is when you start writing, you set a timer, and you don't edit yourself, you don't pause, you don't think about it, you just start writing, and you keep writing until the timer goes off. For me, it's just going on a run or taking a walk, doing something that it gets my body a little bit busy, but it lets my mind be off the hook. Things just start channeling and flowing through. But it's like the more you practice, the more you'll hear it just throughout the day, through your life. You won't have to go, it's good to, on a daily basis, on a regular basis, go out of your way to make the quiet time to connect intentionally to this voice. But as you get better at spending time doing that throughout the day, it's so much easier to identify that voice or hear it or be on the lookout for it, be more aware of it. Okay, and so that is also, I think, taken into consideration about communication and protection, right? Listen to that inner voice within that's guiding you. All right, let's get another. We have, oh my gosh, so when I dropped the cards, this card presented itself, but I didn't take it. And I was like, if it's meant to come out, it will again. So detach. So I think that this is the Justice card in this deck. Here it goes. Here it goes. Let's see. Yes, it is. Okay, so reflect, accept, decide, clarity, responsibility, and fairness. Sometimes our ego prevents us from seeing events clearly. It's time to detach emotionally from a relationship or situation so that you can step back and reevaluate. Reflect upon how the relationship is working. Is it satisfying? Maybe you're reflecting back on old relationships so that you're more aware of what you're looking out for as red flags and green flags as you start approaching the dating world again in this new cycle. What role do you play in its harmony or disharmony? An honest appraisal is required in order to gain clarity and help you better understand what might need to be done to improve it. This is true even if the relationship is already a good one. So yeah, taking a step back, thinking about your part in things and their part in things, and how can you improve it this time around? It's important to accept that your previous actions, decisions, and beliefs have led you to this current situation. Whether it's pleasant or difficult, we do steer the course of our lives, although often without conscious intent. By assessing your situation and accepting responsibility for it, you are able to free yourself from the need to blame another person or destiny. There's no guilt associated with this card, only clarity and empowerment. Once you've detached yourself from and examined a relationship, lack of a relationship, or other matter of the heart, you're in a better position to decide what your next step might be. Remember that the detached card knows no ego. Decisions arrived at as a result of drawing this card must be fair and balanced for everyone involved. I accept the role I play in creating relationships and my life. Interesting. Let's just get one more. Oh, actually, you know what? We had the heart chakra come up and the throat chakra come up. So I think that, again, going back to that vulnerability about the Hermit card, I think we need to open our heart, do some heart chakra work. If you can do stretches to open your physical chest, that's good. Working with the color green helps. Like, doing things that make you feel things, like focusing on your feelings rather than thinking about your feelings. Like, how do you feel? How do your feelings feel? Not how do you think about your feelings. And for me, that's a difficult thing to distinguish sometimes, and I have to make myself think about it that way, because I'm a Libra, so I get up in my head. I'm an air sign rising, like I'm a Aries fire sign sun, but the Libra rising is just like, I'm very Libra in a lot of ways. So I get sort of fixated in thinking about my feelings rather than a lot of times just connecting with the feeling of them. And that is one thing that, like, when you're thinking about your feelings, you're engaging with your mind, but not your heart. And so, you know, doing things that make you feel cheesy, I think, is heart opening. Listening to music that is cheesy and challenges your comfort zone with cheesiness. You know, watching some things like that get your emotions going. I know for me, there's certain shows where I can't get through one single episode without crying. I know Call the Midwife is one for me. But then also being able to speak from the heart, the throat chakras come up. So that's activated. So being able to clearly know our truth, recognize that, having clarity around that, and then having the confidence and ability to articulate that truth and speak from the heart when we do that. When we just speak our truth and we're just lending information out, it doesn't land, it doesn't hit. But when we speak from the heart, that hits another person's heart, and that opens them up to a level of taking you in and understanding that just information can't do. Love, transformation, friendship sharing, these are things that help activate the heart to open and to listen and to see, rather than just appealing to the mind and the intellect. All right, that is all for tonight, you guys. We will be back together for our weekly reflection message, for the weekend reflection message. Until then, peace be with you. Ciao.